Ohio is one of 18 states and D.C. that accept mailed ballots after Election Day, but members of the Ohio Senate just passed a bill that would end that just 5 days before the Supreme Court agreed to decide if states can count ballots after Election Day. Ohio's 33rd District Senator and co-sponsor of this bill, Al Catrona, joins me now. Senator Catrona, this is a hot button issue, and we had the presidential election behind us. We're heading into the midterms. So tell us a little bit more about this bill, what its purpose is, what it would change.
Absolutely. Really, it's pretty basic. It's just cutting out that grace period for the mail-in ballots. What we want to do is ensure that we have safe, fair elections, and we want to make sure that those elections that we find out on Election Day. And so that's what this piece of legislation does. Now, it still allows for the military ballots to come in during that grace period.
And I'm curious, why did the Senate feel this change was needed right now? Have you also consulted with the Secretary of State on how this will impact elections?
So we've talked with the Secretary of State on this matter, but the reason that in supportive of it, the reason why the Senate felt this was important to move forward with is we have a Supreme Court, or we have the fifth District Court of Appeals, who had just ruled that we need to be in congruent with the federal laws on that. That's number one. Number two, nearly every surrounding state no longer accepts ballots if they come in after the election date. And so what we're trying to do is clean up the language there, and we felt that this was a good piece of legislation to move forward with.
Do ballots that come in after Election Day have a major impact on election outcomes? What have you found in your research?
They haven't had a huge impact as far as changing of the elections, as far as the grace period time frame for that. What we're trying to do, and the good thing about Ohio is we've had really good elections here, and so we want to continue to have that. We want to strengthen those up, and we want to make sure that we prevent any type of lingering periods of time for that to happen. The more time that is available, the more time there is for fraud and interference. And so what we want to do is be able to find out on Election Day, and this is exactly what this bill does.
Now, to address concerns people might have, what if there are possible postal delays for whatever reason, making a ballot arrive late? If it's no fault of the voter, how would that be handled? Would it be case by case?
So the way that it works, it's very clear. It's that you must have the ballot must be received by the Board of Election before or the day of or before Election Day. And so anything after that would no longer be counted. And so this is a good opportunity. We allow for over roughly 30 days for someone to vote, whether it's in person, through absentee, or on Election Day. And so what we're encouraging people to do is to be familiar with this, and to, if they feel that there's any uncertainty with the Postal Service, that they, exercise all of those other options. Plus, they can also bring in that absentee ballot to the Board of Elections.
The Supreme Court just agreed to decide if mail-in ballots could have a grace period. Will the outcome of that case impact this bill at all in Ohio?
It will not impact this bill here in Ohio, and for multiple reasons. What the Supreme Court would be listening to and what they would be ultimately deciding is whether or not the states have to comply with federal standards in the same time frame. If that's the case, and that's why this bill makes all the more reason to pass and to be enacted. If they say no, it's up to the states to decide. Once again, the states can then utilize this, and we would still have it due before or on Election Day. And so this wouldn't prevent this from being utilized, or this wouldn't prevent this from overthrowing the legislation itself.
And real quick, do you know of other states working on similar legislation to yours here?
Well, I want to make it clear to the folks here, there are 34 current states that have similar provisions as what we are trying to get passed here in Ohio. And nearly every single state that surrounds Ohio. So this is not just blue states, this is red states, this is all the states out there. This is a very well recognized situation. And what we're trying to do is create a little bit of a consistency for the voters, and to give them the opportunity to make sure that their votes do count, because there are a ton of mail-ins that are that occur much after the 4-day grace period that we currently have. So we're want to make sure that voters have the opportunity to exercise their constitutional rights, and we can do that by letting them know where the hard stop is, and that is going to be on Election Day.
All right, Senator Catrona, thank you for joining us right here at 5.
All right, thanks so much for having me.